Unsportsmanlike Content.
Ladies and gentlemen, today it is Tuesday, March 26th. Welcome back to Unsportsmanlike Content. We are on some new software this week for this episode. It's very exciting for us. We will see how much of a difference it makes when we put this one out. But I'm here with Thomas and Kanan once again. Boys, how are we doing?
It could be a lot better.
Well, that's optimistic. We obviously we're coming off the opening week of March Madness. Some say it's the best sports weekend of the year. But for our brackets, well, not so much. Let's take a look over at the standings for a bracket. So the ISU one, this is the one that we did together. That one's holding up surprisingly well. Kanan is winning, but you look at max points, he had Kentucky as his champion, and they went one and done. So can't imagine he will be there for much longer. I sit at third. Marquette did not inspire a lot of confidence in me, but they did survive to see the weekend. And Thomas, his percentage-wise isn't great, but looking at max points, he still has his Final Four intact, something that me and Kanan cannot claim. So he has a chance to shoot right up these standings this weekend. So, boys, I want to ask you guys, what game, what matchup, what team, whatever was your biggest takeaway from week one of the tournament? We'll start with Tommy.
Man, I feel like it's very top heavy. UConn looks like world beaters. Purdue, I mean, the way they play is so boring, but like, who's going to stop them? Who's going to stop them? I feel like they fixed a lot of the problems they ran into in the years prior. And as it stands, as the way the refs are calling those games, it's going to be hard to knock them out.
Yeah, I agree. I'll take the blame. I'll own it. I had UConn out this weekend, but I think they are the one team that looks as good as they look seeding-wise. They look like the best team in the nation by a mile so far in these first few games. What more can you say? They were up 30 both games, and they didn't even look satisfied with their performance. That strikes fear into me as someone that already had them out and is just going to continue to count my losses as they get win after win after win. Kanan, what's your biggest takeaway?
Well, my biggest takeaway is not so the emergence of a player, but just remembering that he's the guy on a very, very good team. I'm going Terrence Shannon Jr. First game against Morehead State dropped 25. Second game dropped 30. And then pair him with Marcus Domask, who's been really good all year long. Illinois, they're taking on Iowa State. I think this would be the most challenging player that Iowa State has to game plan around because Terrence, he's locked in. He's top 5 pick by far. I mean, this guy can do everything. He can defend, he can pass, rebounds. Obviously, he can score, and he's a flamethrower behind the three. I really like this kid. Iowa State, like Thomas, you and me have been talking all year. They're a really, really good team. Thomas has sworn up and down that they travel well as good as well. But something about Terrence, man, it's just he's locked in. He's doing everything at 100%. Even if it's the bare little things, that's the things that you love to see. Purdue, like you said, they're locked in as well, Harry. But sometimes I see him kind of half giving it a half task because no one can stop him. But I just think Terrence is going to have a big game against Iowa State. Give me Illinois, man. They've been severely underrated all year.
We're going to get to that matchup in a second. We hyped up that matchup in our bracket as possibly the game of the tournament. We got it coming up this week. We got our promise, or we got what we were hoping for. Some quick notes. One of the big upsets that a lot of people fell to this week was BYU falling to Duquesne. Some notes that we didn't mention last week. Duquesne, that was their first tournament appearance in 47 years. Seems hard to believe, but they beat BCU in the A-10 final to make it. And their head coach, Keith Dambrot, before the tournament started, he announced that he was going to retire after their run. So good to see that they were able to get a win before he hung it up. Also, fun fact, all 1 and 2 seeds made it to the Sweet 16. Doesn't happen very often. It's only the 5th time in tournament history that has happened. other times 1989, 1995, 2009, and 2019. You'll remember 2019 was the year Virginia avenged losing to a 16 seed to win. Purdue didn't look overly impressive. It could just be because I have personal reservations against them, having seen them falter, but they're still in it and they still have a good chance as anybody. So could see history repeat itself. But one thing we want to do today, Thomas Fornes is going to share a screen here. We are going to repick the new Sweet 16. Obviously, you saw our percentages. We did not have a great first weekend. So maybe this is a chance for us to redeem ourselves here a little bit. Thomas,
yeah. Couple things I'd like to touch on here. A lot of people. Is this the right? What the heck? All right. Sorry, boys.
No worries.
Edit this out.
All good, brother.
All right, there we go. So, as Harry said, first tournament in a while, we've had all 1s and 2 seeds. And obviously, everyone loves to see the big upsets. We love to see the 15 seeds and 16 seeds come out on top every so often. But an underrated aspect of getting the best teams through is look at these Sweet 16 matchups. I mean, none of these games come out to me as complete blowouts. Even NC State Marquette. I mean, Marquette's looked vulnerable. NC State's on fire. They shouldn't even be here, but behind Burns, they're all of a sudden the Cinderella of the nation. That's gonna be a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see how momentum carries over to this next week, especially with NC State. I think they need. I think just looking at matchups, just looking at just overall talent for all these teams, they need momentum to carry them farther than arguably anybody, in my opinion. But hey, it's a new week. Let's see what we got here. This is gonna be really exciting. Good idea on you, Tommy.
Before we jump into this, I would like to get out in front of. We're all aware Kansas fell short. It wasn't meant to be this year. I'm seeing a certain quote get distributed around that I think is very unfair to Coach Self. Now, should he have said that he was thinking about next year
I saw
this past month? Probably not. Probably not. He should have seen it coming that would get misquoted and taken out of context. But I would like to clarify that the full quote was, I've been thinking about next year for a long time. Not in moments during the game, obviously, but we had 8 guys on scholarship. That's not an excuse. We could have done a much better job as a staff putting more guys out there that can play. And, honestly, you want that out of your coach. We all knew this was a lost season, like halfway through. The problem was we had to take a scholarship penalty. We had a guy get kicked off the team before the season, and that really killed our depth. And the bench has been a problem for a while. So if Self wasn't thinking about next year and how we can get ahead of that, I would be concerned.
Do you know what the quote was or the question was that led to that quote, by the way? I don't know if that was reported. But I think that matters too. Because if it's like, What do you like? Are you looking? You've got to focus on next season. Like, what are your preparations for that? That would be a perfectly acceptable answer. But if it's like, hey, talk about this game, he's like, screw it, I'm already focused on next season. I can't imagine that would be his answer then. Like, that's the only time where it'd be like a problem. But yeah, I thought that quote was blown out of proportion for sure. And granted, when you have the stature of Bill Self, people are going to blow your quotes out of proportion. So
he doesn't slip up very often, but I will say that maybe he should have chosen his words a little more carefully on that one. All right.
Yeah, no doubt.
So we're going to take the same format as last time, right? We're each going to vote on these games, and the most popular vote moves through. I will start with you, Kanan. How are you breaking down this UConn-San Diego State game?
I've been really big on San Diego State since they first started in the tournament. They kind of struggled against UAB. I think the final score of that was 70-65 or something like that. And then they absolutely blitzed Yale out the gate. Like I said, Jaden Ledee, he's going to be one of their best players. But UConn is a whole different machine. They're clicking on all bases. Excuse me. They handled Northwestern extremely well, I might add. And you have so many guys that can score for them. You got Tristan Newton, Donovan Clingan, Cam Spencer, and then you got one of my favorite players, Alex Caravan. Real, just hard nosed, great player that kind of seems like he's the glue guy on that team. I got UConn winning this. I think San Diego State, they had a really good run, but it comes to an end.
Yeah. I don't think anyone's playing with UConn right now, especially San Diego State. I think this Sweet 16 round is pretty straightforward. I don't think you can pick against the Huskies here. Harry, you got any things to say about that?
Yeah, I think UConn's the best team probably left. I could see them getting beat, but with all due respect to what San Diego State's done this year, I don't see it happening against them.
Yeah, that's pretty straightforward. Man, we've got a barn burner in this next one, boys. We might have quite the debate here. Illinois, Iowa State. I've been really impressed with what I've seen out of Iowa State, but as Kanan touched on earlier, Illinois is also a force to be reckoned with. I'll start with Harry on this one.
Yeah, this is a tough one. I like both of these teams. I think both of these teams could go a long way. But I just got to go with my gut here, and that tells me it's going to be Illinois. I think this is the year for them. They've had really good teams the past couple of years and haven't been able to get the job done. I think this year lines up about as well as any for them to make a seriously deep run. So I will take the Fighting Illini.
You know that's interesting because you're going against our champion here.
I am.
Excuse me.
So
if we recall though, Kanan was not a part of this deciding this game. He was out tending to his hit car. So I think it was the luck of the coin that went with Iowa State over Illinois. So yeah, I really think this just strikes me as one of those matchups that whoever wins this could easily go all the way to the championship game. I think both these teams could give UConn a run for their money.
that's fair. I'm going to stick with my gut, and that's going to be Iowa State. The thing is we haven't really seen Illinois be tested so far this tournament. They played Morehead State and Duquesne, so I don't know if I've seen enough. So far, and they've shown to be a little bit vulnerable at times. I mean, they've lost games to Penn State. They've lost games to Michigan State. What the heck's going on here? Yeah. So it's going to be Iowa State for me. I'm wondering if Kanan's going to agree with me on the tiebreaker.
Well, we first got to look at these two teams, and they're complete opposites of one another. Iowa State's defense is absolutely fantastic, holding opponents to 60 points per game. Their offense is obviously not a slouch either, but then you got Illinois, who's averaging 84 points per game, and their defense. It's, I don't want to say non-existent, but this is a heavily dependent offensive team. When the game slows down, I do expect Iowa State to kind of stall out the Illinois basketball team, but like I said, Terrence is going to show why he's a top 5 pick. I don't think Iowa State has faced a player like that all year long, and that's no disrespect to nobody in the Big 12, no disrespect to anybody in the tournament, but Terrence Shannon Jr. is arguably a top 3, top 2, depending on who you talk to, player in this in college basketball. I think Illinois' offense is just going to chip away at Iowa State's defense. It's going to be a lot closer than we expect. I think it's going to be a high-scoring affair, but I got Illinois pulling through.
All right, boys. If I could veto, I would. But we're going to go UConn, Illinois in that Elite Eight. Moving on to UNC, Alabama.
Ooh.
And man, these two high-powered offenses are going to show out. I'll start with this one. I think UNC is just on a tear right now. Alabama, very vulnerable defensively. I don't think they're built for a deep run. They're very talented, but they lack the two-way talent to really get it done. I'm going to go with UNC.
I'm going to
Can
go
I?
with you as well. Oh, Harry, I didn't mean to interrupt you if you want to go.
No, I was telling you to go. Actually,
Oh, I got you. RJ Davis, what can you say about him? Armando Bacot. But Harrison Ingram had what? I probably butchered his last name. I'm sorry. But Harrison Ingram, 5 for 7 for 3 last game. Kid's an automatic sniper from beyond the range. Alabama's perimeter defense kind of worries me a lot. And like you said, Carolina, they just been clicking. I mean, they dispatched the Spartans easily. I think the tide goes down. I think they're about to get washed away.
Ooh.
I actually disagree with you guys here. I think this could be one of those games. UNC box score tells me that they beat Michigan State easily, but looking at that game, there were some moments where they were shaky that Michigan State was trying to make a comeback. And if Alabama has a good shooting game, the pace that they play at, they can blitz you. And if UNC isn't careful, Alabama could sneak out a win here. But I think majority rules, UNC takes this one. But I would not be surprised at all if we saw the Crimson Tide make the Elite Eight.
I will say that Grand Canyon did give them a run for their money. And
I mean, Alabama's been getting tested the entire tournament. Yes, they've been pulling off. I mean, against Charleston, they put up 109, but they gave up 96. Grand Canyon obviously tested them. Like, do you not think that fatigue could play into it? Like, hey, we've been getting into these high-scoring affairs for so long for these last two games. Can we keep doing it before our legs just give out from under us?
Fatigue, no, because it's 3 days rest. But if Alabama scores 100, I don't think UNC can match in there. I think if it turns into a shootout, I like my chances with Alabama.
I mean, that's fair. That's fair.
Fair enough. Yeah. All right. We're taking UNC there. Moving on to Clemson, Arizona. Kanan, what are you thinking about this one?
Clemson, they've I had these guys out in the first round. I'm not going to lie to you. They took care of Baylor, another Big 12 team. Shout out Jacoby Walker. Going to be a great player one day. But this team, just they do it all. Like, you have so many good pieces: Ian Sheffield, R.J. Hall, Chase Hunter, Joseph. I think his name is Gerald. I'm sorry if I'm butchering his name. I'm not good with names. R.J. Godfrey, Jack Clark. Any one of these guys can give you 10, 15 points a night. But Arizona, they've been in these situations before where they're knocking on the door to the Elite Eight, Sweet 16, and they just seem to fall apart. They were tested by Dayton last time. Long Beach State gave them a run, but I think this is the year that Arizona finally gets over that little hump. I think they're going to beat Clemson. I think Caleb Love is going to have an extremely good game. He's been having just a phenomenal season with them. Excuse me. Phenomenal season with them, but as well as Pilil Larson, Keshaw Johnson, and then Jaden Bradley. I think Arizona's going to handle it.
Eric?
Yeah, I've got Arizona here. I call timeout for 40 seconds straight. I have breaking news.
Oh, go ahead.
Man.
The last free agent starting pitcher is off the market. Jordan Montgomery has signed with the Arizona Diamondbacks.
I love that.
That is a very fascinating move. I like it as well.
That is such a good pickup for the Diamondbacks, man.
They just need a depth guy. I think make him a 2 to 3. They're going to be right back to where they were. They're going to be even more potent than they were in 2024 or than they were in 2023. We'll get to that in a minute. I have Arizona winning this game. All credits in the world to Clemson. I also had them out in the first round, but I just don't see them in much more of a run. They just don't strike me as an Elite Eight Final Four team. So I will take Arizona with a chance to make the Final Four in their home state.
Can we talk about this potential UNC Arizona matchup?
The
Caleb Love. Oh man,
that cinema.
What a storyline that'll be. That's gonna be great. Moving on to the other side.
Oops, I didn't mean to interrupt, but are we doing the entire bracket or just next round?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're doing the entire thing. We're gonna move on to the next side here. Oh man, this game. This might be one of my favorites of the Sweet 16. Houston Duke. I mean, talk about star power in this one. You got Jamal Shed, you got Jared McCain, you got LJ Cryer, you got Filipowski. This is one to watch, boys. You might not want to take your eyes off the screen. Man, the Big 12 bias in me really loves Houston. They've been on fire. I think as of now, they are the odds-on second favorite to win this whole thing at around plus 650. That's only to UConn. I'm gonna have a hard time going against them here. I'm going with Houston, boys.
Yeah, I think, part of me thinks that Duke, obviously they haven't been tested excessively. They played a 13 and a 12 because Wisconsin lost. But they took care of business, man. They left no doubt in either of those games. And I think that takes a great team to not just make it past a weaker opponent, but to absolutely scroll past them without any issue whatsoever. But on the other hand, Houston had a scare last weekend against Texas A&M, but part of me thinks maybe they're vulnerable, but the other part of me thinks they had their one scare, they got it out of the way, and now they're going to sail into the Elite Eight. I think that side of me wins out, and I'm going to take Houston to win this.
Yeah, I'm with y'all boys as well because I don't know if you guys noticed, but I think it was since 1994, 1995 when Grant Hill was at Duke. They never beat a higher seeded team. Houston, like you said, Harry, survived their scare. Emmanuel Sharp, phenomenal. Jamal Sheed, phenomenal. LJ Cryer, phenomenal. Duke, I think when we did our podcast last week when my car got hit, I think I had Duke going all the way, and I forgot to fill out that bracket for ESPN, but I just think Duke is going to falter against them. They've handled business exceptionally well, like you said. Jared McCain had, I think, 35 last game, somewhere around there. But as much as I hate Houston, they're the team to beat, I want to say, on this side of the bracket right here. And I got to go Houston. As much as I want to say Duke, Houston.
We got to touch on that Texas A&M game. Were you guys watching that live?
I was not.
I was at work watching.
I turned it off. I'll admit, I turned it off. I mean, it was a 12-point game with like a little over a minute left. It was very similar to that. What was it, Northern Iowa? And
when they blew like a 15-point lead or something like that, or
yeah, who was that against?
Was it against Texas?
Was it against A&M?
I thought it was against like the Longhorns.
It was Caruso.
Was it?
Yeah.
Damn. Anyway, yeah, I remember that game.
I mean, can we get a confirmation on it? Hold on.
It's gonna mess with Tommy.
Because no, it was Texas A&M. Yeah, Texas A&M just basically repeated history almost, and I feel like that didn't get talked about enough. That's insane.
Yep,
like deja vu almost. It was the same round because that was round of 32, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
That's wild, actually.
They would have owned two of the best comebacks in March Madness history. I mean, props to them. That you got to fight really hard to overcome that deficit. Anyways,
they were mismatched by a mile, and the fact they made it even that close, you should have no shame in losing that game. Honestly,
no. NC State, man, can we talk about them? I mean, 5 games, 5 days, ran through the best of the ACC, beat UNC, Duke on their way to a tournament championship. The only way they were going to get in this tournament, and they did it. And they rattle off 2 very impressive wins behind Burns, who has become a March Madness legend. It's hard not to root for these guys. And they're matched up against Marquette, who I think has looked a little vulnerable. I haven't been all that impressed with them. So Man, my gut feeling is to ride with NC State here. They're the hot hand. It's an amazing story, and I'm going to have them moving on to the Elite Eight.
Yeah, I got to go with Marquette because they're my pick to win it all. But I got to say, I like NC State. I really hate that they have to play Marquette because if they're playing someone like Purdue, Gonzaga, I would have a lot easier time rooting for them. But I'm gonna be sweating that game out the entire time because I have Marquette winning. But yeah, they have not impressed me, especially not on Sunday. Both of those, I mean, they took care of business. They won, they moved on, everything like that. But they didn't exactly Shaka Smart and the boys didn't exactly make me feel like they got this. They're just gonna take care of business and move on. So I'll take Marquette, but they got to show me something. The fact that it's a 2 versus 11 seed and the spread is Marquette's only favored by 6.5 points kind of tells you a lot that you need to know. But again, I'm curious. We talked about. I'm curious to see how momentum plays a factor. I didn't think that it was going to play into the tournament, and now we're talking about them in the Sweet 16. So who knows at this point? But I'm going to stick with Marquette.
This NC State team, they're giving me a lot of 83 vibes when they were the 6th seed, and they just their motto was survive and advance, and that's what they've been doing. They haven't just been surviving; they've been beating these teams. They took care of Tech. They took care of Oakland. Tommy, like you said, they beat Duke. They beat North Carolina to get into this. Marquette, I was at work watching that game, and if Marquette was up I think 45-33 going into halftime, and then they almost blew the entire game. I don't like their chances coming against NC State. I think you're running into the wrong team at the wrong time with everything just going NC State's way. I think Marquette bows out. I think NC State, DJ Burns is going to have another great game. Give me Marquette. I mean, NC State, sorry.
All right.
I apologize.
Blew his no-hitter in the 9th inning.
I had a 0-2 count and everything, and I gave him a curveball right down Main Street.
Through a hanging slider, Brad Lidge-esque Pujols hit it onto the train tracks.
Oh, man. Ball's still in the air.
Ganos was up.
It still hasn't landed. He retired before that ball landed.
Oh, man. Oh. Purdue Gonzaga. I take back my statement that all these games look close. Even though Kansas made them look like absolute world beaters, that Kansas team probably didn't even belong in a round of 32, and we just didn't have the depth to keep up in the second half. I don't see how they match up well against Edey. I don't think Graham Ike can keep up. I think Purdue actually makes this look easy, and they move into the Elite Eight with a relatively sweat-free experience.
I hate this because I don't think all of the 1 seeds are going to win. But how do I pick against Purdue in this matchup? Everything you just said is true. I just don't see a way that Gonzaga beats them. Plain and simple. I don't particularly like either of these teams, but man, I think Purdue is meant to go a long way. Not happy to see it. I can see it happening.
No, I agree. I mean, Edey, he's going to give you 20 and 20 every night, every day. You can't really stop him because he's big, 2, got a soft touch around the rim, and 3, the refs whistle. But if I'm Gonzaga and I'm looking at how do I beat this team, well, the thing is, you got to take the supporting cast away from the Boilermakers. You got to shut down Braden Smith. You got to shut down Lance Jones and Fletcher Lawyer. Edey's going to give you 40, 20, 30, doesn't matter. He's going to do him. But if you take away his supporting cast, if you limit their success, you greatly boost your chances of winning. I think Ike and Watson, they're going to have their hands filled with Edey. But I'm really expecting a big game from Hickman this game. Nembert and Huff, they're going to produce. Greg as well. I got Gonzaga upsetting them. I think they're going to stop the supporting cast. I think they're going to mainly focus on, okay, look, we can stop Edey a couple of possessions because we've seen it before. Edey can miss 3, 4, 5 straight shots. like, right down low, and he's just like throwing it up, praying that it's going to go in. If Gonzaga can do that and stop the supporting cast, I got Gonzaga moving on. I think they're going to upset Purdue, and I think that is going to be a very, very, very close game, though.
It's a gutsy call there. I respect it.
I like
I
it.
mean, yeah, it's just like that's like how everybody has to look at it now. Like Edie's going to Edie, okay? He's going to score, he's going to rebound, he's going to defend. But if you take away his supporting cast, one person can't do it all. I don't remember the last time one person willed his team through March Madness.
All right.
Kemba.
We'll see. That'll be a lot of fun to watch. Moving on to the last matchup of the Sweet 16. Creighton, Tennessee. Honestly, I don't have a very strong take on this one. I think both these teams are pretty equally matched. I could see this going OT. Dalton Connect is absurd, but Creighton has a fair amount of shooters as well. I'm wondering what you're thinking about this, Harry.
Yeah, obviously, some star power in this game. Dalton Connect obviously is a stud. Baylor Shireman for Creighton it's also been phenomenal this year. I kind of look at it as those two are fairly equal, and you kind of look at the depth surrounding them. And Creighton has 3 players in total, averaging 17 a game. Trey Alexander's averaging 17-7. Ryan Kalkbrenner is 7-1 down there, and he's averaging 17-4. Defensive force down low. He even hit a 3 in double overtime against Oregon. He can finish down low. I was not impressed with this Creighton team at all in the round of 32. I thought if they were playing just about any other team, they would have gotten beaten. I wasn't impressed with Oregon either. They're a clean team, and I think they've got enough horses around Baylor Shireman to move on to the Elite Eight. I'll take the Creighton Blue Jays.
Kanan?
Well, like I was watching both of these teams last matchup. I'm gonna first start with Tennessee. Tennessee, they had it, and then Texas started getting close. The game started slipping away from them. They knocked down some key clutch free throws. But for the Vols, they got to shoot it better. The way that they were shooting last game was absolutely horrible. 3 for 25 from 3, it's not going to get it done. 22 for 65 from the field, it's not going to get it done. But at the same time, Creighton has to defend a lot better. That's what Harry was just talking about. In a sense, you can't have Oregon drop 73. You can't be getting into these dog fights so early into the rounds. I think Dante for Oregon, he had 28. Jermaine Kusnard had 30. Creighton has to defend better, but I'm going to go with Creighton. Like Harry said, just too many pieces. They're going to get into the Elite Eight, and it's going to be more the same of take away Dalton's supporting cast, and you have a very, very good chance. I can't disagree with 3 17-point per game scores compared to one person averaging 20 and like the rest 11 and 12. One person averaging 12, another person averaging 11, and everybody else is in single digits. Give me Creighton.
Yeah, boys, I'm going to agree with that. I mean, looking at the box score, it's kind of insane to have 4 different players capable of putting up 20 every night. I think that level of firepower will definitely overwhelm Tennessee in the long run, especially since they kind of escaped against Texas. Yeah, I really like these Elite Eight matchups. So let's get into them because UConn, Illinois, man, that is a force to be reckoned with. I'm wondering what you're thinking about that, Kanan.
I think this, like, if, this is the matchup, I think this is where the story ends for Illinois. They're just, UConn's just too damn talented, man. Like, from top to bottom, they're really well coached. They play hard. They execute their opportunities. They really don't shoot themselves in the foot. As much as it pains me, I think UConn's just going to not destroy them, but I just think Tristan Newton's just going to have his way. Give me the Huskies, man.
Yeah, I fully agree. I mean, this UConn team cannot be stopped. And
they're so good, bro.
I mean, man, just looking at their past few games, they absolutely destroyed Marquette. They made it look so easy in that Big East tournament, and they have not faltered since. They've just blown out their first 2 opponents. I respect Terrence Shannon Jr. on the court, but I don't think he has enough. I'm going to go with UConn as well.
So, correction on my part. UConn was obviously up big time in their 116 matchup. They only beat Northwestern by 17. I'll give them more credit than that. This matchup, I'm solely going off vibes. Illinois.
Oh, okay.
Take the vibes.
Yeah, well, in that Northwestern game, they were up 40-18 at half. I think they
I was
maybe
about to
let
say
off.
that game was over at halftime at that point. It was garbage time, but
They let
still,
off the gas a little bit. Yeah. Oh, okay. Illinois. Harry is riding with Illinois here, and I really respect it. So we'll have to keep that in mind going forward. This game, wow! If this happens, I mean, the storylines alone are going to be must-see TV. UNC Arizona. Caleb loves revenge. I mean, they had the whole drama between him and RJ Davis. I mean, call it what you want, rumors, whatever, but they were beefing. They were beefing over a girl or something. I don't know, just what I've seen, but that's going to be a lot of fun. And I just can't imagine Arizona going to the Final Four. It's one of those tests where if you really try to picture the scenario in your mind, I can't see it. I just can't see it. And maybe that's dumb reasoning, but I'm going to go with UNC. And I'm wondering what you fellas think.
So,
go ahead, Harry.
All right. So, a lot of things going, a lot of balls got to juggle here. On one hand, I had UNC losing to Alabama. I'm the only one here that said that. On the other hand, do I see Arizona in Caleb Love's revenge tour going to the Final Four in their home state? I could see this one going either way. But at some point, these 1 seeds are going to have to fall, man. And I think every single one of them is so good. But you don't see all 1 seeds make the Elite Eight. We hardly ever see them all make the Sweet 16. We can't. I can't have all 1 seeds in the Final Four, which I could very easily see 3 of these 4 making it. But give me Arizona. Why not? I'll take Arizona.
All right.
Come out with a much more analytically inclined preview than I will have.
I mean, like you guys said, storylines there. The main focus is going to be Caleb Love returning. Him and RJ, I think they're going to be going at it. I think Caleb has grown tremendously as a player since he's left. Obviously, there are still sometimes concerns of his just on the court IQ. But in situations like this, he's like, okay, I was here. I was with them. They did me so wrong, allegedly, and I failed. I'm not going to let my new team fail. I'm going to go with Arizona. I think just looking at like these matchups across the board, Caleb Davis, Armando and Omar, Larson and Ingram, Ryan and the Kashad Johnson. I mean, this arguably has potential to be the game of the tournament. And I just think that Arizona's 3-point shooting is just going to annihilate North Carolina. And I had North Carolina winning in one of my other brackets. But I mean, when you have 4 players over 40% from the 3-point line, God, it's going to be a great game. I got Arizona though. I can't explain how much justice this game is going to do for us college basketball fans. But give me Arizona. I think UNC is going to have a great next season. But Love gets his revenge, and that's a sight that he's going to love to see.
Pun intended.
Pun intended. Yeah, I was trying to think of a better pun, but I'm just like, not really enough.
Fair enough.
All right. Well,
he's going to get the love that he should have got from his girl with RJ Davis.
Okay, this is a kid's show.
None of that. Come on.
None of that disgusting infidelity nonsense.
We're TV 14.
Is it a kid's show? Is it? All right, we're gonna move
I did
on.
a bad job bleeping Okunon's obscenities last show, so
Your Cardinals ran a couple shows ago.
I
Kind of.
bleeped them out. I did a good job with that, but your transcription,
I won't lie to you. But
your
then-
transcription on Adobe Premiere wasn't good enough. I just searched the words and I bleeped them out. But some of them didn't register because you were basically calling in on the phone like a Howard Stern guest while we were here in the moment, and that's what happens. So, yeah, we are. I think if we're TV ratings, we're TV mature audiences at this point. So,
I think we officially lost our PG rating on that episode.
oh yeah, it was never there.
Yeah.
Does that mean like I can crack open a cold one of these days? On
Oh yeah, for sure.
I don't think we care about that.
This Houston NC State game, I would be curious to see what the line on this is because it might be one of the most lopsided, based on Vegas' projections, that we've ever seen in an Elite Eight. I mean, Houston, arguably top team in the country, depending on who you ask. Then we have this NC State team who shouldn't be here, if we're being honest. Man, it depends. This game depends on if you want to believe in Cinderella or not, because I can't think of anything analytically that would make you choose the NC State side. What do you guys think?
I'm right there with you. Houston, they're just going to come out guns blazing against them. They're going to hold them under 60, I want to say. They're like, this team, you get the best of both worlds. The offense is obviously going to produce every single game. Doesn't matter by who, from who, and their defense is just elite. NC State, they're going to have a nice run, but Sheed and them, he's going to knock them out. Give me Houston.
Barry?
NC State, great story. I'm rooting for them. I think it's good for the game of basketball. I think it's good to have a team that you can easily root for like this, that is on borrowed time by all accounts. They're playing with house money. But man, Houston's good. I got to take Houston here.
Yeah. I'll go contrarian and say NC State, just in case they do win. And it's going to be a very hot take that is successful. But yeah, it's Houston. It's
just letting you know, if this happens, all three of our champions will have gotten eliminated by double-digit seeds. Just something to think about.
That's
yeah. That's something to think about. Purdue Creighton. I'll let Harry break down this one.
Let me tell you something. Greg McDermott's team is one of the most disciplined teams that you can find. No one on that team averages more than 2 fouls a game. Ryan Kalkbrenner and Stephen Ashworth both average 1.9. Creighton players do not foul out. They are smart with the ball, or they are smart on defense, which has been a lot of people's gripe against Zach Edey and Purdue, that they get a lot of calls and everything like that. If there's one player in this tournament that could stop Zach Edey down low, it's a 7'1" Kalkbrenner, who is the now 3-time Big East Defensive Player of the Year. If there is a matchup to stop Zach Edey, it's Creighton. I'll take Creighton.
Harry, you hit the nail on the head. I think Edey's never going to be tested if this match happens in real life more than Ryan. I mean, this kid is a absolute defensive freak. Like you said, again, extremely smart, doesn't really bite on a lot of pump fakes, something that Edey just loves to do to get his opponents in foul trouble. He's extremely mobile. And then, like you said, this team's just so deep. I think they're deeper than Purdue, to be honest. Give me Creighton. I think Ryan's going to make Edey's life a living hell. Alexander's going to go off. Baylor Sherman's going to go off. Give me Creighton. And they're going to be making their first ever Final Four.
In the same year, they beat number 1 for the first time in program history, who was UConn.
Script is right there.
I love it, boys. Personally, I think we would see a Houston-Purdue matchup here, but I do like the parity in this Final Four.
Hey, you said
we
NC State though, so who knows? You're
Yeah,
on the NC State contrarian wagon.
that's true. Maybe a little Purdue NC State action. Oh
Oh
man,
God,
that
that
would
would be a run
That would
for
feed families.
like bro.
Edie versus Burns. Just imagine that. Here we go. We get our Final Four set. UConn, Arizona, Houston, Creighton.
Before we dive into this, does this look realistic to you guys? Could you see
Yeah.
this Final Four happening?
Yes.
I would say so too. I like it. Hold on. Time out. When NC State won the national championship, wasn't it Houston that they beat in that final game, like on the alley-oop at the end? Or am I making that up?
So someone fact check this.
I'm on it.
It sounds right.
I think it was like Phi Slamma Jamma with Hakeem Olajuwon.
Yeah.
Yep,
Yeah,
yep.
with Houston. So, hey, think about that storyline right there.
That's a good
I'm
point.
still taking Houston, but think about that storyline.
Yep. Final score is 54-52. Beat. Yeah.
In case you needed to know that it was in the 80s, 54 won a national championship game.
I mean,
And
not Hakeem, bro, and
Yeah.
Clyde. Damn.
this
I
Houston
forgot they had
defense is
Clyde.
elite. We got the elite Houston defense. History could repeat itself. You never know. UConn Arizona is kind of crazy because we got the best team in the tournament going up against, well, if they make it this far, a very hot Arizona team who is playing in front of basically home fans. I mean, they're in their element. They're in Arizona, and you've got a confident Caleb Love who just beat UNC on top of the world. He wants his redemption. He wants his championship that he could not get in Carolina, but he has to get through UConn. So I'm going to let Kanan take this away.
This on paper is just like it's hard to come down. Like UConn, absolute killers the entire year, every tournament, every preseason, they did their thing. But Arizona, their catch, like you said, on fire in front of their home fans. Caleb going crazy. Part of me wants to say Arizona because if by this point they come here, they're going to be on fire. But the analyst in me, I just got to go UConn, man. Like, it pains me because I think Arizona, like, if it was a year that they could make a deep run and potentially win it, it would have been this year. But going up against UConn, man, just the best team in college basketball. They play so unselfish. I got to go UConn. I got to go UConn in this situation. I think Arizona season ends in the Final Four, and I think they're just going to build from there. But I got to go UConn.
Yeah, I would agree. I think Arizona's run ends here. This hasn't been a particularly impressive team all year. I mean, they've shown runs where they lose to some of the worst teams in the nation. I mean, they no less than 3 weeks ago they lost to USC. Let's keep that in mind. But this is obviously a scenario where they've caught fire. I still don't think it's enough. I'm going UConn as well.
Yeah, I think first off, I don't think we're getting a 1v1 matchup in the championship. I don't think we're seeing UConn Houston. Even though looking at this, I think UConn and Houston should win both games. But I'm a big trends guy. I'm not looking as much in the analytics as much as I'm looking at just kind of what I see, what I think will happen. I don't think we get 2 1 seeds, but I also don't think we get a Big East matchup in the final. So I think for that reason, I'm going to take Arizona in this game because I think of the between Arizona and Creighton, looking at that matchup, who I think is more likely to make the championship game, it would be Arizona. But I think I'm outnumbered. But that's what I'll go with.
Yeah.
I just gotta go off when I making a bracket or something like that. I just gotta look at it and see does that make sense? Does that look like it could happen? But I think this could happen. I'll take Arizona.
It makes a lot of sense. I mean, there's definitely been years where it has gone chalk. I mean, you look back at 2008, and I'm pretty sure, was that not the year all 4 number 1 seeds made to the Final Four? When Kansas beat Memphis in that championship, of course. I mean, Davidson almost spoiled that party, but Steph Curry couldn't get it done. We might hear more about that team later. I don't know. I think we obviously are going with UConn here, but that does bring up some interesting points about this next game. Houston Creighton, which I'm not gonna lie to you. I mean, as impressive as Creighton is, I think Houston's defense is good enough to stifle that. And
I agree. I think Houston's an objectively better team here. I don't think there's much more to say than that. It's a strength between these two teams, and I just think Houston's more well-rounded. I think at their best, Houston might be unbeatable. I think they might be the best team in the nation, and I think they'll be playing for a national championship.
Any disagreements, come on?
Nah, I mean, you hit the nail on the head. It's so plain, but their defense is just so elite. Number 1 in the country. Yeah, it's cool. You have 3 to 4 people scoring 17 points a game, but I just think Houston's just gonna smother them like a blanket on a cold winter day. Give me Houston.
Kanan's expressions and cliches are insane sometimes.
Yeah,
we need to make a compilation of the things Kanan's.
Hey,
my favorite are the ones where he combines 2 phrases without even realizing it.
There's just something slightly un-American about it, and I love it.
I love it.
I mean, I am.
It's the Bosnian. It's the Bosnian.
Exactly.
Are you Bosnian? You never mentioned it before.
We got
cutting.
We've got UConn and Houston. This is as chalk as it gets, boys. But it's hard picking against either of these two teams.
God.
So it's going to be a very difficult analysis of this championship game. I honestly don't know where to start. I'm going to delegate this one. If either of you have a very strong preference.
I'll take it. Kanan's moving around, so I'll start it off.
Sorry.
Some of the trends I've gone against so far. I didn't have UConn making it to the second weekend because national champions haven't done that in 6 years. I didn't like a 1v1 matchup. I didn't like all the 1 seeds making the Final Four. I didn't like the 1v1 matchup. I didn't like conference opponents playing against each other in the championship. So for that reason, I don't like the thought of UConn going back-to-back because the last team that did that was back in 06-07 with Florida. It just doesn't happen. However, everything I've gone against has happened. So if this happens, I think one more is going to go wrong, and UConn is going to prove me wrong and go back-to-back.
I love that analysis. I was about to chime in and say, wouldn't that mean you go UConn? But you brought it back completely.
Screw analytics. Sometimes you just got to go with your memory, right?
You nailed it.
You just got to go with trends.
For me, I'm going to play another one of those imagination games where I try to think about what I can see best happening in my head. Houston's already had a storybook year. I mean, they come over to the Big 12. No one believes that they're going to be able to run that gauntlet. I mean, you should have heard some of the analysis preseason. I mean, you're going to come over to the Big 12 and just run through everybody. Yeah, right. Well, they did. They made it look easy. And I can't think of a better cherry on top than to run through this tournament as well and crown themselves as the 2024 champions. I'm going to go Houston. That might be a Big 12 homer bias, but I've watched them all year, and I love this team. As good as UConn is, give me Houston.
Boys, you are putting me in an extremely difficult spot right now. I'm on Harry's side for this one. Everything he said, man, like that he said he wouldn't happen has happened, and I think if there
Oh,
was a
thanks.
team, you're welcome. If there was a team to go back to back, first time since the Florida Gators back in the early 2000s, it's this team. Houston, great season for them. They're gonna do extremely well in the Big 12 and future March Madnesses. But UConn, Tristan Newman, lock them in, man. That's my team.
If UConn makes any sort of run any year, they win it all. It's really no in between with them. Anytime they're in the Sweet 16, the Elite Eight, they win it. It's just one of the weird facts of life, but I don't see this team. I think this is the best team I've ever seen UConn have, and I've seen them win 3 national championships. I think at their best, they're simply the best team in college basketball.
All right, let's hope this bracket plays out better than our full one. But
we gotta give credit to Dan Hurley though, bro. Like head coach of the Huskies, he's turned that program around so fast, bro. What a guy.
Sometimes there's some things you can't go against, and UConn basketball, whether it's men's or women's at this point, it's clockwork. If they get here, they're going to get the job done. There's just something about that culture at the University of Connecticut that you just can't bet against. And I'm not going to be one to defy that.
All right, boys. Well, I'm going to stop sharing my screen now. So if any of you at home want to place any futures bets, take your screenshots now because
go against everything we said.
All of this is happening, all right? It's written in stone. This is the foretold prophecy.
We've got the script. All right. So now it is time. It's one of the best times of the year, in my opinion. Not only is the Final Four going to be decided this weekend, but the MLB season is about underway. For 2 teams, it's already underway. The Padres and Dodgers split a series in Korea. But for the rest of the teams, season starts on Thursday. So let's kind of go through it. Kanan, what are you expecting this year?
From the Cardinals, I'm not expecting much. I think we're going to have some really good pieces. Arenado, Goldie, they're going to do their thing. Mason Wynn at shortstop's going to have a good year. Walker, he's going to do his. Carlson. But I'm just really concerned about our pitching staff. Like, that's the biggest question right there. Yes, there are a lot of older arms. Yes, okay, they're experienced. But when you get older, you start breaking down. You can't throw as hard. And I love Miles. He's one of my favorite players on that team. But the Dodgers are just going to annihilate us in that first series, man. I don't expect much. I don't think I said this before in a couple other episodes. I'm going to be shocked if we crack 70, 75 wins.
So I think someone from I think 590 The Fan tweeted out kind of what do you expect for the Cardinals? Do you think I think it was like, do you think they hit 82 wins, and do you think that even wins the division? Because as we know, the division is supposed to be pretty bad this year. I'll get to my division picks later. I have the Cardinals going 77 and 85. That is a 6-win jump from last year, and I think that's perfectly fair because is the starting pitching better? Yes. Is it 10 wins better? No. Not even close. Not to mention losing a guy like Jordan Hicks in your bullpen. He looks fantastic for the Giants, by the way. But I mean, looking at that hitting lineup, nobody really had a objectively bad year that's still here. Goldschmidt, Arenado, they were down from the year before when they were when Goldie won MVP. Arenado might have won it had Goldie not existed, and everyone else was perfectly fine. But that was never the problem. And now Goldie's in a contract year. He's not getting any younger. Arenado had his worst year of his career in many ways, which, to be fair, was still a Nolan Arenado year, so still pretty freaking good. He's not getting any younger. I wonder, part of me thinks this is a big, big opportunity to see what we have with Jordan Walker. He's going to be playing right field every day because we are so depleted that Victor, because Dylan Carlson's now on the IL to start the year because he tripped over Walker, AC joint sprain. I think he's going to be out a couple weeks. I don't even remember who our left fielder is going to be. Victor Scott, a rookie who looks really good in camp, is going to be in right field. Jordan Walker's is going to be in center field. Jordan Walker's going to be in right field, where he did not look good last year. He's not a natural right fielder. I'm wondering, Goldie's in a contract year, and Walker's going to get a lot of time in right field. If it doesn't work again, if he continues to struggle, might we see him taking reps at first base? And might that be the future move? Because Arenado's sticking around a while longer. I think Walker might have come up a right field or third baseman. You're not playing third base over Nolan Arenado. And if anybody on this team, in my opinion, should be taking third base away from Nolan Arenado in the near future, it's Nolan Gorman. So where does that leave Walker? In my opinion, I think first base could be a good move for him long term. I think, in a way, it's a waste of his godlike build. But if he can't field, you're not wasting a DH spot on him. Where else is he going to go?
Yeah.
So that's something I'm interested in this year. But, Sonny Gray's hurt to start the year. Michaelis is your opening day starting pitcher. It's the offseason's not good enough. Nothing that I can say is going to make the offseason good enough. Cal Gibson looked promising in his last start. I love Lance Lynn. Sonny Gray seems like he wants to be here and seems like a good dude. I'm rooting for them. I have everything I say with nothing against the players themselves. It's a matter of, did the team do enough to build a winner? You can't look me in the eye and say that this team is at minimum 11 wins better than they were last year. Can you?
I'm wondering what a good season would be, in your opinion.
I mean, what's
What
this team's
classifies as a-
ceiling? Like, what do you think the best possible scenario? Everything goes right. What's the ceiling for this team? May I remind you, Lars Nootbaar is starting hurt, Tommy Edmonds starting hurt, Dylan Carlson starting hurt, Sonny Gray starting hurt.
Wild card.
One of Matt Carpenter or Brendan Crawford in your starting lineup on opening day?
I think you guys are being, I get it, okay? We didn't do enough in the offseason. Pitching sucks. Management's questionable. Vegas thinks otherwise. And if I've learned anything, it's that Vegas knows what it's talking about. And looking at these...
Those projections can kiss my ass, all right?
Make money.
Here we go.
Make money off of them.
I saw a projection. This isn't going to be a long one. I saw a projection that said the Cardinals were projected to win more games this year than the Baltimore Orioles. Those preseason projections, I don't care where they're coming from. Kiss my ass. They're not. I don't believe it. Until I see the team out on the field, Vegas can't predict injuries. They can't predict slumps. You think Vegas predicted the Cardinals to go 71-91 last year? I don't think when a relatively healthy team, I don't see that, man. I can't. You might believe in Vegas. I have my transgressions with Vegas.
Hey, brother, you're free. You're free to bet on the under. If you're really that confident, it's free money.
I missed what you said. What's the spread on the card? Like, what's the over/under for wins?
I'm not looking at that.
I got you.
All right, I'm looking at. We are the odds-on division favorite this year.
How much is that? Just because people that don't know much better know only that the Central sucks and that the Cardinals are the Cardinals. And how many championships have you seen from all those teams besides the Cubs? I just think this division is so bad that we have a path. Who do you think wins this? Let's go around. Who do you think wins it?
I think the Cubs win it.
I agree.
Cubs.
I think the Cubs not only improved, they just missed out on a playoff spot last year because they literally had the worst final 2 weeks any team's ever had. Craig Counsell's a good hire. I think the Cubs win it, and they go a measly 86-76. I think the Reds are about 3 games back. The Brewers are going to crater. I don't know why they signed Rhys Hoskins, but I think it's going to be Brewers, Cardinals, Pirates, 3, 4, 5, interchangeably. Probably Brewers 3. But I think the Brewers scream 79-83 to me. The Pirates 73-89. I
Yeah.
think they're getting better.
Just to bring up this thing, they have us at 85.5 over, I guess.
I think last time we
I don't
looked,
see
it was
that.
84.5. So apparently we've gained a win somewhere.
Well, let me show you boys something here.
Ladies and gentlemen, Tommy Fornes might give us 2 screen shares in one episode. This is incredible.
All right. Well, we've got this shows up, which it's not. Bear with me here.
EP is somewhere intensely watching this episode before it gets even released.
All right, we're looking at the World Series odds here. 2024.
Tommy, I see one major problem with that, and you haven't even started to scroll.
What's the problem?
Who made the World Series out of the NL last year? Don't all answer at once.
What's your point?
It was the Diamondbacks. Why the hell are the Diamondbacks plus 4,000 if the Cardinals are plus 3,000? They're early in their window. We don't have one.
So we're
I get
favor of
this
the.
is before they signed Jordan Montgomery, to be fair.
Okay.
But still, what about the Cardinals is better than the Diamondbacks this year?
All right. Let's.
The rest of this I don't mind, honestly. I think the Yankees are a little overhyped. The rest of that I don't hate.
Well, let's
I
look
think
at this.
a lot of this is reputation, in my opinion.
Who in our division is even close? I mean, obviously the Cubs right behind, but
No one is.
No
The Reds, I think should be
one.
higher just in terms of will they make the playoffs. I think they're the second best team in the division.
I mean the Brewers. Yuck.
They lost
I'm gonna put my
Counsell,
money
they
on the
lost Corbin Burns. I don't know. You signed Rhys Hoskins to win. I don't know. I like Rhys Hoskins. I don't know why. He doesn't seem like a fit here.
Okay. My point being,
Oh yeah.
I see a path. I see a path where we win the division. Okay. I'm not saying that we make a run in the playoffs. I'm just throwing it up in the air that maybe this isn't going to be as big of a disaster as you guys think it will.
I don't think my season is a disaster. I think we know what a disaster is. I think a disaster is worse than last year. Because I think last year went about as wrong as it possibly could have gone. But knowing that same team for the most part is here, with the same manager who we didn't even talk about, just got extended. I don't see I can't in good faith with all the baseball knowledge I claim to have, I can't confidently say that this team is 11 or more wins better. I can't. I can't say that I thought last year's team was 22 losses worse than 2022, but it happened. I saw that. I watched it happen. I can't see this happening. I can't see us just going back to the division crown, getting swept in the wild card like 2023 never happened. It happened. And God, I want to forget it, but it happened.
Would you like to rant about us extending our manager?
You know, the more I thought about it, I would like to comment on it. I mean, by all accounts, it sucks. Because I get it, you don't want to have your manager under the cloud of being in a contract year. Canal just left. He didn't want to hear it. He leaves every time I talk about the. I don't see you. You're not here. But anyway.
Sorry, camera.
You don't want to have that. You don't want to have that cloud hanging over your head every time every time they have a bad game, which I think there's going to be more bad games than good based on my record. Every time him having to answer those questions about job security and all that. I get it. The Rams announced a contract extension for Jeff Fisher less than 2 weeks after he got fired. These things happen. I get it. But at the same time, when you announced them, what you guys revealed that you were working on, spending your time on, was re-signing a manager that a lot of people think should have been gone already, while Jordan Montgomery and Blake Snell were still out there in free agency that you could have added, knowing that Sonny Gray was hurt, is not going to be ready for opening day. And instead you re-signed a guy that I still think, even though he got extended, I still think he will not be the Cardinals manager come March 26, 2025. Why? Like, if you're gonna do it in December, do it in November. Why have a big ceremony in spring training and hype it up like we did something productive? It just was not done correctly, in my opinion. I mean, look, this season is what it is. I drank the Kool-Aid last year, but I think if we go, I really do see it 77-85. I think there'll be flashes where we look better, but I think we'll revert back to the mean. I mean, the mean based on the last 2 years is 82 and 82. Lots changed.
I think I'm going to take it upon myself to be the community optimist this year. Okay, so I'm going to keep morale high when both
Trust
of you
me,
guys.
I don't like being like this. I just watched enough Cardinals baseball. I watched enough from last year. I just don't. I don't know. I don't think you just escape a year like that with the same important people around and expect to be better. I just can't do it. I want to. I want to believe in the Cardinals. They're still my team, but I mean, my God. But enough about the Cardinals. Do you guys have any? I made a full playoff prediction, awards, World Series, and everything like that. You guys got anything like that? We can run through. Why don't we just run through it? AL East. Orioles won it last year. Blue Jays and Rays made it in as wild cards. Who do you think wins that division?
On.
Give me a second.
Okay, I'll tell you my pick. I think it's the Orioles. I think they're very early in their window, and they already won 100 games last year. I think the sky is the limit for this team. I think we're going to see Jackson Holliday in the big leagues by June. Allie Rutschman is a freaking stud. He's, 23, 24, and he's already the best catcher in Major League Baseball. Gunnar Henderson is a stud. Corbin Burns, who they got, is a stud. There is no reason why this team can't be better than they were last year.
Okay. I'm going to go a little contrarian. I think the Yankees take it. I think it's their year.
That pick,
I mean, I don't watch a lot of American League baseball. I won't lie to you boys, but I think it's Baltimore's year. Everything's just clicking for them. 23-6 in spring training. I think they're just going to continue the momentum from last year. They're going to make a strong playoff push. The American League East, it's going to be theirs for the next couple of seasons. Tampa Bay not going to do nothing. New York is going to give them a couple battles, but I think they just take this division easily.
Yeah, I like your pick on the Yankees. I think of the teams that had a disaster year last year. I think the Cardinals, I think the Mets, I think the Yankees, I think the Padres. I like the Yankees to bounce back the most. They got arguably the toughest division, but the talent's there for sure.
Yeah, I mean, Soto and Judge is a crazy combo.
If they click and they stay healthy, and if Soto's contract isn't an issue because he's a free agent after this year. But moving on now, we got the AL Central. The Twins won it last year over the Guardians. In my mind, that's really a 2-horse race, and I think Minnesota takes it once again.
Yeah, I think this is a pretty clear-cut division here. I don't think anyone's close to the Twins.
I think the AL Central's pretty easily the worst division of baseball, but Twins finally got over the hump of winning a playoff game. They won a wild card series last year, so now they got all that off their back.
How many games did the Royals win this next year?
They'll get better. I think they break 70, honestly. Bobby Witt Jr. is a very popular MVP pick, actually. But they did good things. I think 72, 73. I think if they go under 90 losses would be a win for them.
Okay.
Kanan, are you also Twins?
Twins, yeah, just they caught lightning in the bottle. They're gonna hold on to it. Yeah, just I gotta go Twins. Yeah, you had Cleveland and Detroit. You know, they were neck and neck. But I just think, even with the loss of Sonny Gray, I think this is Minnesota's division to lose.
Yeah, that's a good point. The loss of Sonny Gray, that'll be interesting to see how they are affected by that. AL West, this had been Houston territory, but the Rangers took it last year, went on to win the World Series. Definitely a tourist race, but the Mariners also sneaky. I've got Houston here. I think they bounce back. I think one of the most sneaky good acquisitions this offseason was the Astros getting Josh Hader. He is so freaking good. And that's just another weapon that they have in their bullpen. I think when they take a lead, they're not going to blow many.
Yeah. I'm going to go with the Rangers, but there's a lot of questions up in the air with that team. I mean, they had a lot of good free agent acquisitions, but obviously they're dealing with some issues in their rotation. I mean, they got DeGrom coming back from Tommy John, and obviously Scherzer dealing with similar things, as well as Seager, who is questionable for opening day. So I think it all depends on what that timeline looks like, but the Rangers could definitely give them a run for their money.
Kanan?
I'm gonna go with the Rangers as well. I mean, you mentioned questions about their pitching and all that. I really do think that this is the year that we see Josh Jung take that next step. I think he's going to be a candidate for MVP. I mean, last year batting 266, OBP of 315, and on base percentage of .782, 23 homers, 70 RBIs. Kid's a good swing. I think this year he's going to lead them. Rangers. That's my pick.
I like it. I have the Rangers as my top wild card. I think that's going to be another close race with Houston. And my other wild cards, I've got the Rays and I've got the Mariners getting in over the Yankees and over the Blue Jays. I'm high on the Mariners this year. I don't like what their president said about trying to win like 54% of their games or something like that, but I like the Mariners. I want to see them succeed, so I'll take them. Moving on. Sorry, go ahead.
No, National League East is up next, right?
Correct.
I don't even think that we need to discuss this as much as we should. I think Atlanta just, once again, steamrolls through.
I disagree with you there. I think the Braves win it, but I think it's going to be closer than it was last year. I think the Phillies are going to make some steps towards eclipsing them. The Braves won, 104 games last year. I don't think they're going to revert that far down, and the Phillies aren't going to climb that high. It'll be closer. Phillies will be the top wild card again, but the Braves will win the division. Tommy?
I have, again, another 100-win season. I think they're going to top out at 101.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to pick against the Braves here. I mean, people forget they went most of last season without two of their best starting pitchers, and if they can stay healthy this year, it's going to be more of the same. It's hard to see a different scenario play out.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing. The only thing that can really stop them is the health, like they said. We already talked about it. I think we all had the Cubs winning the Central, except Tommy might have had the Cardinals.
Oh, yeah. Cardinals are plus 150, boys. Plus 150, Cubs are plus 200. So think of that what you will, but I'm going to ride with Vegas.
I'll throw down some plus 200 money. NL West, I think it's pretty safe to say it's the Dodgers once again.
Yeah. Despite the scandal going on, and I think when Yamamoto had a bad start, but he'll get over it. This team's just so talented. Betts, Glasnow, Freeman, Kelly, Braxton, Muncy. Yeah, just another year of Dodger success.
Yeah, I think there's too many weapons here for them to possibly fail, at least in the regular season. We know about their playoff history. But I've got them winning. I've got the wild cards going to the Phillies and Diamondbacks again. Marlins, I like them. I love Skip Schumacher, but I think they will get replaced by the San Francisco Giants. I like what they did this offseason. I'm not as big on. I think Blake Snell's going to take some time to get acclimated. Obviously, he didn't have a normal spring training, but they did some really good things in the offseason. They've got a stud in Logan Webb, who's my pick to win the NL Cy Young this year. Snell just has to gel into a number 2 starter, throw his 180 innings, and just be as effective as he's always been. And I think the Giants can surprise some teams this year. They should be better than they are, in my opinion.
Okay. Would you like to guess what the Giants' odds are?
To make the playoffs, to win the World Series, win the division.
Win the division.
It's got to be plus 550 or something.
Multiply that by 2. Plus
1100.
Plus 1,200.
I mean, the Dodgers are just such overwhelming favorites, right?
Yeah, it's minus 550.
Yeah,
Crazy.
That's why. And you put them in any other division other than the East. Like if the Giants were in the West or were in the Central, they would win by 7 games. It's just crazy imbalance. It's the same in the AL. The Central is so weak compared to the other 2 divisions. It's not even funny.
Yeah.
But moving on, I'll share with you guys some of my picks this year and just kind of see what you think. Cy Youngs, I've got Corbin Burns in the AL for Baltimore, and like I said, Logan Webb for the NL. Rookie of the Year, I've got Wyatt Langford of the Rangers, who's supposed to be a stud, and he had a bad start, but I think Yoshinobu Yamamoto takes it for the Dodgers. Manager of the Year, you kind of look at this. It's not necessarily who you think the best one is. I think it's just kind of who does the best with their certain situation. And I think that is Scott Servais in the AL for the Mariners. And for the NL, I think it's Craig Counsell, who's going to get the Cubs into the playoffs after leaving Milwaukee. My MVPs this year, I'm going Yordan Alvarez for Houston. I think he might be the best left-handed hitter in baseball. He is just so pure and so fun to watch and has unreal strength. And in the NL, back first base full-time, fully healthy, unlike last year, I think Bryce Harper gets number 3. And he's going to have a World Series to go with it because I have the Philadelphia Phillies winning the World Series. They're going to beat the Orioles in 6 games.
Whoa, okay.
Oof.
Harry, I think you're the only one with these picks, brother. We did not do our homework on this.
Yeah, I kind of throw out
talk
a World
about
Series pick. Just throw a World Series pick off the top of your heads.
Dodgers.
Over?
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, I immediately thought Dodgers.
Let's say Dodgers over Yankees.
God, I hate that.
That's terrible, but I'm sorry,
Awful.
boys.
That would be must-see baseball, though.
No, it wouldn't.
I wouldn't watch it.
I would, me personally.
Trying to watch some AL baseball, huh?
I think it's going to be Dodgers over Rangers.
Okay. The Corey Seager Bowl. I like it.
Yeah.
Moving on now. We've got like 37 minutes. So we're going to get this one out of the way. I've got one trivia question for you guys. Going back to March Madness, we're going to do the Stump the Schwab style. Like I said, the last time all 1s and 2s made the Sweet 16 was in 2019. Can you guys name me the 4 1 seeds that year? Let's see if you guys can name them. They're not exactly outlandish. They're kind of teams you would expect.
In 2019?
In 2019, yes. Whoever wants to start. Duke is one. Remember, that was with Zion Williamson, RJ Barrett, Cam Reddish year.
Damn, that was... God, we're getting old.
It was either be Taco Fall in the second round.
Kentucky?
Kentucky was a 2 seed.
Shoot.
Zaga?
Gonzaga was a 1 seed. Get the
That
left.
was Drew Tim. No, not yet.
UCLA?
UCLA. I don't see them in here.
Were they even in the tournament?
Houston?
I don't see them in the tournament. I don't see Houston either, but I'm not giving them much of a one. Okay, Houston was a 3 seed.
Not Purdue, because that was freshman year, I think.
Did you
Not
say
Purdue.
Michigan State?
Michigan State made the Final Four this year as a 2 seed.
Mm,
You're nailing the 2 seeds. I
That's
was
crazy.
thinking
Have you
about 2 seeds, but or ones and 2 seeds. But what'd you say, Tommy or Kanan?
Has anyone said Kentucky?
Yes,
said
they were a
Kentucky.
2 seed.
UNC.
Bingo. They lost in the Sweet 16 to the team that made the Final Four.
So we named 3 of them.
You named 3 of them. Getting the most obvious one. Huh?
Michigan, not Michigan State, but Michigan. I think they went. I think they had a good
Michigan
year
was
that year.
the 2 seed.
My bad.
Villanova.
Incorrect. Villanova.
Not Kansas.
No,
Not
Kansas.
Kansas.
Told me about that.
They were a 4 seed. Villanova was a 6 seed.
Tech.
Texas Tech lost in the championship game, but they were not a 1 seed.
Yeah.
But they lose.
That's a hint, by the way.
Baylor.
Virginia.
Not Baylor. Bingo.
Hmm.
Virginia. Went from losing in the first round to winning it all as a 1 seed. Baylor, where was Baylor? Baylor was a 9 seed, and they won their first game against Syracuse, lost to the Zags.
Yeah,
well,
I'm
that
not
was a
good.
fun bit of trivia with you guys.
I'm bad with years where Kansas wasn't very good. I
That's
tend
fair.
to block them out of my mind. You know.
I was just trying to think of blue blood programs and yeah.
I just remember thinking that year was so weird because it was Texas Tech in the championship game. It was Auburn in the Final Four before they really got very good in basketball. I just remember thinking that was such a weird Final Four. So it was surprising to me that was the team. That was the year that we had 4 1 seeds making it to the Sweet 16 because it seemed like so random at the end. But got 30 minutes left. We're going to move on to the final part of the episode. You know what it's going to be. We got the draft. And our theme this week is Cinderella teams. Obviously, we're in the spirit of March Madness. So teams that won the hearts of America, of the world, whether they went all the way or not, well, that's up to you. The draft order, it's going to be a snake draft once again. We did reverse of last time where we built the perfect NBA player. So, Tommy, you are on the clock.
Yeah. My first pick isn't a team that went very far, but arguably the most exciting Cinderella team of all time. I'm going to go Dunk City, Florida Gulf Coast. I mean, that was the most electric 2-game run I remember ever seeing. These kids, like, I don't know what happened, but every single player on that team seemed to have NBA level athleticism for that 2-game run. I just poster dunk after poster dunk. And even after that first game, people were talking about it. They ran it back again with just as many dunks. Took the nation by storm. I mean, they fell short to Florida, but that's just permanently ingrained in my mind as one of the greatest Cinderella teams of all time.
I remember my sister, they beat, I think it was Georgetown first round, and my sister had them winning the national championship, so I liked them just based on that. But looking back, watching that team is so fun to watch. It's such a time capsule too, because you haven't heard from that team since. You're never going to see a mid-major like that throwing yams like that ever again.
Okay, no.
Cannot.
Sorry, it was lagging on my end. But yeah, Florida Atlantic, man. Dunk City, never gonna see it again, like Harry said. But for my pick, I'm gonna go with the 2008 Davidson Wildcats. We all know who was on that team before he was a star for the Golden State Warriors. Wardell, Stephen Curry. Look, 22-game winning streak entering it. You still came in at a 10 seed. Curry averaged 32 and 45% from 3. Jayhawks beat them in the Elite Eight, but the teams that they took down to get to the Elite Eight, Gonzaga, Georgetown, and Wisconsin, the deepest run in program history since. And then, I mean, just watching this as a kid, I remember I was like, this guy's basically a little skinny stick on the court, but he's doing all this. He's going crazy. He's shooting from deep. He might be something one day, and he was. I'm not saying I predicted Stephen Curry because nobody can predict what Stephen Curry could be.
I'm
But
just visualizing the LeBron meme right now.
but no, Curry in that March Madness. What a run he had, man! What a run.
Yeah, they were 2 points away from knocking off that championship Kansas team too, and Curry passed the ball. Curry passed the ball. He should have shot, but thankfully,
He would have got it. Who knows?
Who knows
man?
what would have happened if he made that shot, though? Honestly,
Derrick Rose probably has a ring.
for sure. All right, you guys were in the spirit of college basketball. I am not. You guys are in the spirit of teams that didn't win. I am not. Moving on, I've got 2 in a row. I'm going to take the biggest slam dunk for me, the 1980 Miracle on Ice, one of my favorite movies of all time. Bunch of college Americans that had no business of competing with the Soviet Union, who was a powerhouse in the Olympics at the time, and they go on and beat them. One of my favorite movies, Kurt Russell's fantastic. They go on to win the whole thing in the gold medal. I believe they beat Finland in the gold medal game. I mean, what more can you say? When I think of underdogs, when I think of Cinderella runs, Mike Eruzione kind of like run, like high running, high stepping it onto the ice is like the first thing that's engraved in my mind. So that's my first pick. My second pick, I feel like I'm taking one from Tommy here. Give me the 2007 New York Giants, a team that barely stumbled into the playoffs, and they beat the Buccaneers, they beat the Cowboys, they beat Favre, and they beat the 16-0 Patriots as a wild card team, one of the biggest upsets in sports history. I don't really know what else you can say. Jordan Montgomery's contract, 1 year, $25 million. You got a bag.
Brother, I thought this was a clear cut college basketball draft.
Honest to God,
That was not understood. That was not clear.
I mean, Cinderella run. It's March.
Yeah,
Cinderella run to me is sports. Is
I
upsets.
thought this was a clear themed draft.
Okay, so it's got to be college basketball then.
No, it's okay. I just would have.
I guess
Someone should have clarified that because I said, "Haven't we done this before?" And I don't remember getting a response. The only response I remember is, "Yes, we've done this before." I don't remember anyone saying, "Hey, this should just be college."
I thought that was
Cinderella.
implied.
I didn't think it was implied.
I thought it was implied.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah, you're also 3 minutes late. Your opinion doesn't carry much weight here, Kanan.
Those are good.
Whoa!
Those are good picks.
Whoa!
So
they're great.
I mean,
picks.
I think if we all knew that this was if we all knew that this wasn't purely college basketball, I think Florida Gulf Coast probably wouldn't have been the first overall pick, to be fair. And I would redo the draft. However, we've got like 26 minutes left on this, and I don't know how long we're going to go.
That's
So do
okay.
you think
We'll have you add honorable mentions at the end if you.
Okay, we'll do honorable mentions. That's fine. That's fine.
Well, then I'm going to transition to the professional game. Give me the 2011 Dallas Mavericks.
No.
What?
I thought we were all right. Whatever.
But no. Like
This draft is
What?
off the rails at this point.
I thought we were correcting ourselves and saying
What?
Harry's going to add 2 more college at the end
I'll
to
add
make
some-
up.
I'll add some honorable mentions at the end. Who? Jesus Christ!
This is. So are we sticking with strictly college, or like, what's the deal here?
We're reverting to strictly college. Yes,
That would be nice. That would be nice.
let's do that. I'll add 2 honorable mentions.
All right. Well, if that's the case, give me the 1985 Villanova Wildcats. 19-10 record coming in, lowest seed to ever win the national title when they were the number 8 seed. they took care in the against the Hoyas 66-64. I mean, that's a Cinderella run right there.
Okay. Dang, it's taking it way back. Yeah, I guess in the spirit of throwback teams, Kanan, you're a Kansas fan now. You need to learn up on all your history. We got the 1988 Danny and the Miracles Kansas National Championship team, which at the time had the most losses ever for a championship winner. They had 11 losses on the season. Danny Manning, absolute stud. He put up 31 points, 18 rebounds in that championship game. I mean, this team wasn't supposed to go very far at all. They ended up winning it all. I remember my dad telling me all about this team, and it just sounded like a magical run to me, so I had to put them in there.
All right, I have corrected my errors as much as I possibly can. I'll add 2 more later. Tommy, back on the clock, round 3.
Wait, by the way, I'm surprised you didn't put 2011 Cardinals up there.
See, I thought about it, but I thought we were doing professional as well, and I thought that you were going to take the 07 Giants, so I thought I was going to take one from you anyway. So I feel like the Giants are a bigger one.
Yeah, that's fair.
But they're on my list.
Yeah.
That
all right.
Apparently none of them are appropriate. So moving on to round 3 for you.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the team of divine intervention, which still seems like a fever dream. That 2018 Loyola Chicago with Sister Jean by their side. I mean, what a run that was. I mean, they had that buzzer beater. I'm not sure if it was the first or second round, but like every game was down to the wire, and they just found a way to keep it moving. That team made the Final Four. I mean, crazy stuff.
Good pick, Kanan.
Well, when I was researching up for this draft, I'm like, all right, I don't want to take the most recent. I don't want to take the most teams that nobody can remember. So let me go with the first really major underdog story. The 2006 George Mason Patriots. I was like, I was reading up on this. I'm like, they took care of Michigan State with Tom Izzo, took care of number 3 North Carolina, number 7 Wichita State, and they knocked out the number 1 seed UConn. Eventually lost to the number 3 Florida Gators, as we know they would go back to back. But Patriots came into the tournament 23-7, and they just not annihilated, but they just outperformed blue blood programs. They had no reason to be here, but that's what March is about. Magic. Anything can happen. The right team can get hot at the right time, and the next thing you know, you have a magical story. And every player on that team is looking back on it now, fond of the memories. But yeah, George Mason.
That was Jim Larinaga coach team, I believe. And
Yep.
That was the first Cinderella run I remember. I doubt you guys were old enough to actually be following along in that tournament, but that was very special. That's one of my.
I was 6.
Yeah, that's one of the first memories I have.
And adding on, like they were the first double-digit seed to get to the Final Four since the LSU Tigers in 1986.
So are you on their Wikipedia page?
No, these are just some notes I have written down.
I was about to pick George Mason, but you're not taking them. All right, good pick.
Sorry, I want to say we're probably never going to see that again with the transfer portal and NIL.
No, never. I am starting 2 rounds late, but I still feel good about these next 2 picks. Starting off, we talked about them earlier. Give me 1983 NC State. Jim Valvano, last second alley-oop to win a national championship. I believe they were a 6th seed, beating Phi Slamma Jamma. Hakeem and Clyde Drexler. What more can I say? And wrapping up the last round, I'm going to take, as of now, the most recent edition. Take 2022 St. Peter's, which I'm surprised they slipped to the 4th round. 15 seed, and they made it all the way to the Elite 8 before losing to, I believe, North Carolina. Another thing that I don't think we will ever see again. That screams Flash in the Pan to me.
I wanted to take St. Peter's so bad, bro. You don't understand. I was like, is no one gonna get them? Is no one gonna get them? If I
I will gladly take St. Peter's over you getting George Mason. I think I won that.
that's fair. Okay, that's fair. For me though, I am going to go with the 2011 Butler Bulldogs. Don't confuse this team with the year before with Gordon Hayward half court shot away. This team was less of a surprise, but they lost consecutively. They lost to Youngstown State in the beginning of February. They were 6-5 in the Horizon, and nobody thought they would make a deep run. But however, after that, Brad Stevens earned a number 8 seed in the midst of a 14-game win streak. They had everything going for them, and then they ran up against Kemba Walker and a Connecticut defense that had so much good talent. But what a run Butler had during the early 2010s.
Yeah, it's a good pick. Tommy, Mr. Irrelevant.
Yeah. I'm gonna go with one that kind of hurts me personally, which is same year, 2011 VCU, which was a great team in the regular season, but obviously one of those mid majors where you don't imagine them going very far. Yeah, they beat they played in that first 4 game and made a Final Four run, which is just crazy to think about. And obviously they beat Kansas, so I could never forget that team, even if I tried.
Yeah, it's a good pick. I've got my 2 replacement picks. We'll swap them out. I'll just add them at the bottom. First one, both of these teams made the Final Four. First one is 2013 Wichita State. They came out of nowhere. They were a 9 seed, and they beat. I don't even know who they beat. Yeah, they beat Ohio State, the 2 seed, in the Elite Eight to make the Final Four. They lost to Louisville, who went on to win the championship. Team is relatively unheard of, but Greg Marshall and company knew what they were doing in the Missouri Valley. The next year was the year they went 34-0, were the top seed in the tournament, and then lost in the second round to Kentucky. But coming from a 9 seed in the Missouri Valley to making it all the way to the Final Four is something that will rarely happen. And Tommy, you mentioned 2011 VCU going from the first 4 to the Final Four. Another team that did that more recently is 2021 UCLA. That Final Four game with Gonzaga is one of the best college basketball games you will ever see, especially given the circumstances. I can only imagine what that hype would have been like had there been a crowd there, because it was right after COVID. But this was the game. They were in overtime. They got the layup to tie the game with like 3 seconds left, and then I think it was Jalen Suggs went down and hit a half-court buzzer beater to win it. Of course, Gonzaga ended up getting mollywopped by Baylor in the national championship, but still a pretty fun run there. So this is the draft. Tommy's got Florida Gulf Coast in 2013, 1988 Kansas, 2018 Loyola Chicago, and 2011 VCU. Kanan is rocking with 2008 Davidson, 1985 Villanova, 2006 George Mason, and 2011 Butler. I cheated and picked the 1980 U.S. Miracle on Ice and the 2007 New York Giants, but since those didn't count, my real picks are 1983 NC State, 2022 St. Peter's, 2013 Wichita State, and 2021 UCLA. That was a good draft, Tommy. Credit where it's due. Had I understood the assignment a little bit more, I think we could have had a lot more fun with that. But good stuff.
Yeah.
All right,
I
boys.
heard Miracle on
I looked at you guys after I made that pick, and you guys are both confused. And I was like, "What do you mean you're confused? That's the best pick by a mile. Like, what's a bigger upset than that?" And then I understood. I understood a little bit. So I'll take that one. But good stuff as always.
Yeah.
All right. So that's really it. That really wraps up this episode. What game would you guys say you're most excited for this weekend? At least Thursday, Friday. That we know is going to happen. I think I got to go Illinois, Iowa State. I think everything that we've been talking about these past 2 episodes, that tells me that this is going to be the game of the tournament right there. But I think whoever they were was running into a buzzsaw in UConn afterwards. So I'm really curious to see who the first real shocker is. Because Kentucky obviously was a big upset, but like I think of a 1-2 as like a shocker, you know what I mean? I'm curious to see what if NC State has a little bit more juice as well.
I was gonna say that's the game. That's the game I really got my eyes on. I want to see that Cinderella run. It's been a hell of a story so far, and I mean, give the people what we want. Come on.
Absolutely,
Well,
Kanan.
I'm gonna go with Duke. Houston, Duke, blue blood program built for success. Houston has been on the come up for these last 5, 6, 7 years, trying to get their name into the blue blood program. I think that's gonna be a really good matchup. That's gonna be mine. You know, I wanted to say Illinois, Iowa State, but I didn't want to repeat. And I'm sorry if you're hearing yelling in my background.
Well, now that you bring attention to it, I am.
I apologize.
All right, boys. That wraps things up. We'll go back and cut this one up. See how this new software treats us. So on behalf of all the boys here at Unsportsmanlike Content, we hope that all of you have a happy Easter and enjoy this next great weekend of college basketball. That's Kanan Bielovats. That's Thomas Fornes. My name is Harry Loomis. Thank you guys for watching.
Unsportsmanlike Content.